So you already know that what is database. What do you mean by database? It will be vast collection of data or information. So in the database, a lot of data are moving in and moving out of database. Now it will be very difficult to know how these data are going to interact with each other. So we need a visual way to understand how these elements are related to each other. So we need to have ER diagrams. So we need to create ER diagrams for our purpose, so that you can easily explain each explain how the each data is related to data in some other entity. So normally ER diagram is a visual representation of data that describes how data is related to each other. Now let us see what are the different components of ER diagram. There are various components there in ER diagram, but we are going to cover few components of ER diagram here, such as entity, attributes, and relationship. Now let us start with discussion on entity. See here, an entity can be any object, place, person, or a class. So normally in a ER diagram, it is represented using rectangles. As you can see clearly in the image, there are two entities. They are represented using rectangles named as employee and department. So in this case, employee will be a table and department will be a table. So it may consisting number of records and number of fields, which can contain several domains as well, and which can contain some other primary keys, foreign keys, etc., etc. So normally any table next onwards will be in the ER diagram will be represented in the form of rectangles. So tables can also be called as entities. The second uh, used used in ER diagram is attribute. So what is attribute? It describes the property or characteristic of an entity. And normally these attributes are represented using ellipse. See in the example here, I can clearly say that student is an entity. So belonging to student, it can contain several characteristics or several properties of it. So what are those? Name, address, ID, age, etc. So these are represented inside the ellipse, right? Like if I get the example of employee, so employee can have similar characteristics like employee name, employee department, employee address, employee salary, such things. So this has to be represented in this form. This has to be represented using ellipse. And third type is key attribute. See, we also know that what is an attribute. Now we need to see what is a key attribute. That is very, very important in terms of any database or in terms of any table. We have seen in database management system, we know that one of the advantages there will be no duplication in a database. There will be no suppose if any record is stored in a file, there will be no duplication of the same record in the same file or in maybe in the different file. So that will be controlled by having the key attribute in the table. So what is key attribute? It represents the main characteristics of an entity. You may have a number of characteristics out of several characteristics. So one of the characteristic should be a main characteristic. That is how you can uniquely identify the row in a table so that there will be no duplication. So how it is done in a ER diagram? So it will be represented in an ellipse with underlying lines represent an key attribute. See here, name, address, age, and ID. These are attributes, whereas particularly this ID is called as key attribute. So it is clearly underlined. So as I said, ellipse with underlying lines represent a key attribute. So this key attribute is used to represent a primary key. There are several other components of ER diagrams as well. So this is included in the syllabus. So we are discussing only about regarding this. Okay, there is one more type of attribute related to attribute will be a composite attribute. So what is it? Composite attribute. So it is an attribute or any attribute can also have their own attributes. So these attributes are known as composite attribute. See in the previous example, for a table or for an entity, we had characteristics like name, address, age, and ID. In turn, address can its own characteristics like city, state, zip, or street, or whatever. So it can have their own attributes. So this will be represented in this form. So this form of attribute will be called as composite attribute. And we have covered what do you mean by entity. So now let us see what do you mean by relationship. As I told you, there will be a lot of entities in the database. So all these entities has to be communicated with each other, or it has to be related to each other. So how it is related? By using a relationship. So I'm using the same example here or different example here. So here relationship, here it is represented in the form of diamonds. Okay, so with this example, anybody can understand what is the meaning of this particular diagram representation. There is an entity called as teacher and there is an entity called as student. Can easily understand that teacher, so what he does, he teaches a student. So we need to understand like that. So teacher teaches a student. So this is the relationship, right? So the relationship can be established or represented using this particular form. Of course, we need to mention what he does as well, so that anybody can understand what is the meaning of this representation of ER diagram. Now we need to explain a different relationship that exists between entities. There are various types of relationships such as binary relationship, recursive relationship, and ternary relationship. So binary relationship in the sense, if two entities are involved in the relationship, then it will be called as binary relationship. As per recursive is concerned, if the same entity is related with its own entity, then that will be called as recursive entity. For example, if a customer is ordering or if an employee is asking information about another employee, so one employee is related to the another employee, so entity is same, employee and employee. Such a relationship is called as recursive relationship. So binary is different. So in the previous case, this is the binary. So what is it? Teacher is an entity, student is an entity. So two entities are involved in this. Separate two entities are involved in this. So this sort of relationship is called as binary. And with the same entity, if you are having a relationship, that will be called as recursive. And ternary is if from one entity you are getting the relationship to another, and from that you are getting the relationship to one more. So three are interacting with each other, then that will be called as ternary. Again, in binary relationship, we have different types of relationship, such as one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many. Actually, one-to-many and many-to-one and one and same. There is no need to be explained in two ways, actually, one and the same. So let us start with the one-to-one. See, as you can see in the picture, there are two entities. Of course, it is a binary, and in between you are having a relationship. But when a line is drawn here, so it has represented with the number as well. So this is clearly indication this is one-to-one relationship. So what is the meaning of this? So one object of this entity is having a relationship with the one object of the another relationship, or one instance of an entity is associated with the relationship of one entity of the another relationship. So this will be marked as 1 is to 1, or I can call it as 1 to 1. For example, in the left hand side, let me consider teacher. In the right hand side, let me consider a student. So what is the meaning of this 1 to 1? One teacher teaches to a one student. This is not regular class, maybe a special class to a special student. So there is only one student, so one teacher teaching to that student. So that type of relationship will be called as 1 to 1. The next is 1 to many. So what is this? So one instance of this entity is having the relationship with multiple entities of the another entity. So this will be referenced as 1, and here it is referenced as n. So 1 to n, it is marked as 1 to n. Suppose you can take this example as I'm taking class now. So I'm the one person or one teacher teaching to multiple students. So as per teacher is concerned, there is only one instance, that is me, and as per student is concerned, there are multiple instances. There are around 28 students. So 1 is to n, 1 is to 28, or I can call this relationship method as 1 to many. Many to 1 is one and the same, as I said, like so when more than one instance of entity is associated with the one entity of the other relation. So this can be explained in the previous method as well. So I will rearrange the table or entity here. So here I will say I will take student. Here I will take a teacher. So n number of students are listening to one lecture, one lecturer, right? So n is to 1, many to 1. So that is why this is not included in the textbook as well. 1 to many and many to 1, both are one and the same. But let us discuss both 1 to many as well as many to 1. And this is many to many. So normally this kind of relationship will be seen everywhere in the database. So what is it? N number of instances of this entity are participating from here, and n number of instances are participating from here as well, right? So as per teachers are concerned, there are multiple teachers, number of teachers, maybe 10 teachers are there, and around 100 students are there. So all the 10 teachers are participating in a class, to a particular class, and all the students are participating in a class. So this sort of relationship is called as many to many. And as per this participation is concerned, there is some rules in this as well. See, rules are explained here. So there are two types of rules or constraints. One is total participation and another is partial participation. So always total participation is represented with the two lines, double lines, and partial participation is represented with the single line. So what do you mean by that? Total participation, uh, partial participation and total participation. So what is total participation? Each entity is involved in the relationship. Okay, total participation is represented with the double lines. What do you mean by each entity is involved in the relationship? For example, 10 lecturers are there. So all the 10 lecturers has to be going to teach to this particular class. So this is a class maybe for any class. So all the teachers are involved. So that will be called as total participation. What is partial participation? Not all entities are involved in the relationship. Only few are involved in the relationship. For example, this online class. So this will be called as partial participation. I'm not able to find participating all the students. I'm not able to see all the students participating here. So that will be referenced as partial participation. If I say everybody has to participate, it will be total participation. So this is regarding participation constraints. You need to understand this as well, right? And we need to talk about generalization as well here. So this is normally a bottom-up approach in which two lower level entities are combined to form a higher level entity. Like if you are designing a ER diagram, sometimes you may have to do this as well. Like I have given this example, account is an entity, but how the account is formed here by combining two lower level entities such as saving and current, saving account and current account. So saving and current account combined to form is a general account. So this form of method is called as generalization, or you can also call it as bottom up approach. Okay, again in generalization, the higher level entity can also combine with other lower level entities to make further higher level entities. See, this is one account. For example, you have 10 accounts. All these 10 accounts to make it as a one entity, represent as a one entity as maybe your organization name. For example, a company called as Infosys may having multiple accounts. So all these accounts combine to form Infosys account. So this form of representation will be called as generalization. Okay, so generalization will be a bottom approach in which two lower level entities combine to form a higher level entities. Again, there will be same level of entities. Again, you can combine and you can make one more higher level entity. So this will be this form of representation will be called as generalization. A specialization, it is opposite of generalization. So it is top-down approach. Previous one is a bottom-up approach. Okay, sorry, it is a bottom-up approach. So this one is a top-down approach. So where we are going to divide entities from the higher level entities. So higher level entities can be again broken down into two or more lower level entities. Student can be a ex-student or current student. So this form of representation, top-down approach, is called as specialization. We can give several examples for this as well. There is one aggregation. So what is aggregation? You can clearly understand here. So there are two entities. So together they are participating in the one entity. So what is aggregation? Process when relation between two entity is treated as a single entity. So I'm not for this visitor entity. I'm not treating these two entities are separate. Okay, these two entities are I'll treat it as one. For example, a visitor. He visits to the college. He wants to know what is the course and where is the center associated with that. So visitor inquires about the offer regarding the course or regarding the center. So this formation is called as aggregation. So it is a process when relation between two entity is treated as a single entity. Here the relation between center and course is acting as an entity. This is an entity in relation with the visitor. So this is called as aggregation. And uh, now I'm going to give you one example, ER diagram example, right? Already we have covered, we know what is this. This is called as entity. So these are attributes. Okay, these are attributes. So several entities are there, and this is called as relationship. And we have mentioned what is the form of relationship as well. N is to 1, right? So a number of professionals are working for one company. So company is having an attribute, company name, company ID, and company address. So professional having attribute like degree and experience. Okay, and he may be having several other attributes like address, date of birth, sex, people name or professional name, professional ID. So this is represented with the underlining sentence or word. So what is the meaning of this? It is a key attribute. So it will be unique for each professional. So this key attribute is unique for each professional. Here CID is a key attribute. It is unique for each professional. And here one more thing is there. It is not there in the syllabus, but let me explain you. This is a multi-valued attribute. So one ellipse within another ellipse to represent like this. It is multi-valued because a professional may contain a multi phone numbers, so multi-valued attributes. Date of birth will be only one, name, IDs, everything will be one. If you have we need to store multiple values, so multi-valued attributes can be used. So this is the one of the ER diagram example.